More than 16 years ago, or around 16 years ago, was the last time I saw or spoke to my former high school sweetheart. Prior to that, we hadn't seen each other for years, being that we had both left the state of Connecticut, and unbeknown to me, she as well moved to Georgia. And I forget how we came back into contact. But after catching up around, I believe, 2009, I found out that she was a RN, and we was catching up briefly within the next several weeks or a month spanned. She had still been with her oldest children's father out there in Conyers. They had bought a house, or he bought a house. We both was in, ending relationships at the time. I think even though she was still dealing with her children's father, she was also, transitioning into other relationships and moving into her own apartment, and had other, friends that she was dealing with. And I myself was, leaving the relationship I was in at the time with my youngest daughter's mother, who, by the way, she as well, another ex. After we had separated last time I seen her was around 2009, was still using my last name, and um, it came up under her, failed mortgages and loans, and, not credit unions, but like mortgage companies and loans, and, something was going on with real estate. Similar as well, my former high school sweetheart um, was using my name um, throughout her history of moving and traveling and doing business. Her and I had never been married, never had any children together, never had any child, never conceived any children, never was married. However, my name will come up when you do a search, and I was included in whomever, she had acquired as family through the years, relationship wise, business relationships, etc., extended families. You know how you do a search, white pages or whatever, people's name come up who they're associated with, family members, and for some strange, odd reason, even though we had never been married and conceived any children, my name was a part of her history, her legacy. And I thought that was kind of odd, because the last time I spoke to her, she said she was going to entertain a relationship with, uh, police officers who she had met out of Latonia. And, you know, I found that interesting, because her children's father, she had explained, had very possessive qualities and abusive qualities. And I was trying to figure out how that was ever going to mesh and work with him around, because she had told me that her children's father was stalking me online and keeping tabs. I mean, she told me flat out that he knew who I was, because he went to, I think people were still using MySpace, older platforms that had kind of phased out. And I think I had a MySpace back then. And she said that her children's father knew who I was, because he, seen my page and was monitoring it. So I thought, how was that going to work out? Her getting with a cop and still having a child's father that she had that, was into, distribution, we'll say. Um, and I just thought that was, interesting, because when we had caught up, old feelings began to kindle, and I had presented the question if she wanted to give it another try, and she flat out told me she appreciate what we had in the past, and I'll always have a special place in her heart. But the past is the past, and she wants to leave it there. And as disappointing as it was when she told me that back around, I think it was 2010, I had no other choice but to accept it. But I did, and I supported her decision, after she told me several weeks after that conversation that she had met a police officer from Lithonia. And of course, Lithonia and Conyers, I believe, is right next door to each other. Um, similar city limits, I believe. And so, I congratulated her, and I told her if that's what she truly wanted to do, I support her, and, told her I wish her the best. But I just wasn't expecting, when I did a search, that for some reason, my name will come up, that's, tied into other people who I never met, never known before. And the fact that her and I never conceived children at all, ever, and never was legally, lawfully married. We was just high school sweethearts, and we had separated a long time ago. And like I said, last time we talked was around 2011. We wished each other happy birthday in emails and stuff like that. But that was the extent of it. And, you know, it would be years before I realized that there was some sinister, corrupt, low vibrational practices and witchcraft, demonic, witchcraft and stuff taking place, energy harvesting, and, individuals joining, trying to get initiated into certain groups. And then, talks of real estate and inheritances will come up and pop up. And, my name associated with people who I was never married to, or, shouldn't have been associated with. And then you're talking about real estate, and places like Florida, Miami will come into question, real estate and homes and houses, etc. And, even with my other ex, and then, this a pattern going on with different people in the family. It's just been a odd, strange thing to witness and to have to experience. But yeah, let's figure out where this is all going and what has been transpiring through the years.